One of my one-to-one clients took the long weekend fully unplugged, fully off from her business, and when she came back on Tuesday morning, she had 3 high-ticket clients literally waiting in her inbox. So here's what happened. In this video, I'm gonna break down how it was even possible that my client was able to literally unplug for the weekend, take time off, be with her family, be with her kid, and come back and have clients literally waiting in her inbox, ready to sign up to work with her. And from there, making 5 figures in sales just from the clients that came in from that weekend when she literally was not even online. So I'm gonna break down for you today how that happened, what we did to set up for this, what you can do if you're wanting these kind of results in your business as well, while you are taking time off, and just break down the case study for you. Now, this is one of my favorite stories because I think it breaks that idea so much that we have of, if I take time off, my business is not gonna grow. And if I'm taking time off, I'm not gonna get clients coming in, I'm not gonna make any new sales. This is the perfect example of that being just complete BS and not being true. And I wanna show you how she actually did this so you can see what this actually looks like to not just come back from a few days off and have a client waiting in your inbox, but having 3 high-ticket one-to-one clients literally waiting in your DMs, ready to work with you after you have been completely offline and just being present with your family. Now, I first want to share with you a bit of context about this client and about this story in particular, because I think that makes it even more special. And that is that this client is already a really busy person. She is a mom, she is a part-time teacher, and she's running her business as well. So she has a lot going on. And she is someone who works very, very hard, is constantly showing up for all the things, everyone, doing all of the things, and just being in all the places she needs to be. And in her business, she was very much the same. So she was really not feeling like she was able to take time off and feeling like she needed to constantly show up, even on the weekends, was checking the inbox, was replying back to people, and was just really struggling with this idea of actually stepping away, because it felt like if she stepped away, everything was going to crumble. Nothing was going to be working okay. Things were going to fall apart. New clients weren't going to be coming in if she was to step away. So you can see where we're going with this. When we first started working together, she really felt like she constantly was needing to show up. And this was somewhat true because she'd really set up her business in a way which did require her to be on constantly and be very quickly responding back to people, etc. So that was one of the things we shifted firstly, but also I gave her this challenge specifically for this weekend, which again makes it so fun that it was just related to that. I gave her this challenge of, okay, you are wanting to spend a bit of time with family. What if you just take this long weekend off? So take off Friday to Monday, completely off, completely offline, don't even check the inbox, don't look at anything, and we'll see what happens from there. So we set her up for this weekend. She had things scheduled to be sent out and all of those things for the Friday and the Monday. So she was able to fully just take this time off and just relax and just rest, because she was really feeling like she just needed a bit of a break. So we did that. And then, as I said, she came back Tuesday morning and she had 3 people waiting in her inbox ready to work with her. So let's dive into how we did this. What did we actually shift to make this kind of result even possible in the first place? Now, the very first thing we did together here is actually automating her sales process a little bit. And this sounds a lot more technical than it really was for her, but actually what we really focused on here was just making sure that we didn't require her being on for the business to move forward at all. I.e., things were still happening. There was still some lead generation pieces running in the background. There was still some automated emails that were going to be going out, all of those things. We just set up some really simple things for her to mean that she was able to take time off. And even when she wasn't online, just evenings and weekends, she was still able to get momentum in her business. It didn't feel like she needed to be there constantly to push this forward. Now, one of the really tangible ways that we did this was we really mapped out a simple lead flow for her. So how does someone go from finding you to actually becoming a client? What does that process look like? Because for her previously, it had been kind of messy. They'd been kind of coming from all different places and she didn't really know how to track that. So we really made it simple of all of her content was leading towards send me a DM about working together. And then she had a really clear process after the DMs to actually get them onto a sales call and actually talk about packages and actually work with that client then. So we had a really clear process and then we doubled down on that. So we made sure that everything was leading people through that process. All of her funnels were kind of directed through that route in some way. And we as well made sure that all of her content was able to be very evergreen firstly, so we could just reuse this and we weren't needing to be constantly creating new content, especially again for someone who's really busy. This is not top of mind. This is not something we want to be doing, but we created very evergreen content that we were able to repurpose. That was also just living on past, the time she was closing the laptop essentially, and just really able to be seen for weeks and weeks instead of just hours. And then everything here was leading towards the same place in terms of working with her and actually booking this call with her then. The second thing we did is we made sure that actually while she was away, she was still selling. So I don't mean she was actually secretly going back onto the phone and sneaking back on to post up a sales story or anything like that, but actually we had some stuff scheduled to go out. It wasn't anything new that she'd written, it was just previous content that was being repurposed, but we had some things going out to her email list, to her Instagram, and to her Facebook, actually sharing about her offers and actually sharing about how people could work with her. So she was actively selling. We weren't just crossing our fingers and hoping there would be a sale through this weekend. We actually intentionally were posting things, sharing about how people can work with her and sharing about, book this call to talk about packages, which she has. And this is honestly what made it possible, especially with the success that we saw, right? With 3 people when you come back from having 4 days off. Doesn't make sense on paper. It sounds like it doesn't make sense, right? But actually it does make a lot of sense because she was still selling during this time. She was still sending sales emails to people. She was still talking about her packages and how people can work with her. So of course there's going to be people reaching out. It's not that we just took the time off and said, okay, cross your fingers, let's hope someone signs up. We really set her up for success here by actually making sure that not only was she taking the time off and fully disconnecting and having the space she needs, but also there was some content still going out. People were still getting sold her offers. People were still seeing about how they could work with her. So it makes sense then that she comes back and her inbox has people asking about working together. And the third thing we really did here was actually the mindset work around this, because it can be so hard to break that pattern of feeling like I have to constantly show up and I have to constantly be pushing for this if you haven't taken that time off. And as well, if you haven't taken the time off and seen the results from this, if you sometimes have, previously taken time off and seen that, my business didn't actually move forward while I did take the time off, that's just reinforcing that to you. It's just showing your brain that actually, I can't take time off because if I do, things aren't moving forward. So we had to really work on, firstly, this being a challenge and really phrasing it in that light way for her of, okay, this is just 4 days. If nothing happens, it is completely fine for you. You will be fine there. And also really, as we said, with the strategic side, setting her up for success. So it's just easier from a mindset side for her to come around for this and see how it could actually really work. Because sometimes the best mindset work you can do is the strategy. If you are taking 4 days off and you know that, nothing's going to be going out at all, there are going to be no sales emails being sent, nothing is going to be happening, it's hard for you to trust that, okay, my business still will be moving forward. It just makes complete sense. Versus actually, if those things are going out, if they are being sent out and people are still hearing about your offer, even though you're going to be offline because we now have this magical thing called the internet where we can schedule a lot of these things, actually it's easier for you to trust that process. So we really worked on her actually being able to trust this and actually being able to take that time off fully, because the last thing we want is her, half-assing it and taking that time off and not really being off and thinking about work the whole time, really wanting to go and check her phone. We actually made sure that she was really set up to properly take this time off and really enjoy it, because that was what she was really needing. After just a really busy work season and life season, was really just needing this little bit of time off and this just pocket of just complete break from everything. So we really set her up for that and set her up for having some success at the same time to really reinforce this new story and this new idea that actually I can take time off and big things can still happen even while I'm offline. And then after this, right, it's really easy for her to actually trust and believe this because she literally has the evidence now. She took those 4 days off, and just from those 4 days, the long weekend which she took off, she was able to make 10K in new sales in her business just from those 3 clients that came in. Literally 5 figures of sales from one weekend where she wasn't even online anyway. She was literally taking the time off and she was able to fill 3 spaces where she just opened up in her new program. This is honestly the difference that it makes, just being really strategic in your business with how you're showing up and with where your time and energy is going, because just us putting in that little bit of time and energy beforehand to pre-schedule some emails, to look back through the best performing pieces of content and pull those and repurpose those for that weekend. Just us doing that small thing is what led to 3 people literally reaching out And again, 5 figures of sales just from this. It didn't take a whole load of effort. It didn't take huge shifts. It didn't take her, reworking all of her offers or anything like that. She was able to have really big success and also take that time off just from these small tweaks which we made. And this is the power of one-to-one coaching, honestly. Having someone who is looking in your business, who is seeing the whole thing, is looking at the full picture and having this really holistic eyes on your business, essentially, from a mentor who has literally been there and done that with hundreds of clients. It is so powerful, and this is exactly what I do with my clients, helping them to actually make more while working less by just getting more strategic with where your time and energy is going. So if that is something you are wanting to do in 2025, if you love the idea of being able to take a vacation, take some time off while still seeing your business move forward and essentially making more this year while you're working less and just getting more intentional with where your time is going every single hour of it in your business, then I have one-to-one spaces currently open. So check out the link in the description. You can schedule a discovery call with me. We will talk a bit more about you, your business, your goals, and if we could be a good fit to work together. You can also, at the links in the description, check out the full page talking about one-to-one coaching so you can get all of the details there on what it actually looks like. You can also hear from some of my past clients and current clients on their experience working with me and all the amazing results they have achieved as well. So make sure to go to the link in the description to schedule a free discovery call with me. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Make sure you've subscribed to this channel as well so you don't miss new videos every single Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.